Warning: the episode you are about to listen to most likely contains graphic language, details of violence and murder, and may not be suitable for all audiences. Listener discretion is advised. What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 28 of Murder with My Mother, the true crime podcast, where I talk murder with my mother. Mother.
Hello, everybody.
What is up with you?
Well, I am extremely full because Denika brought over buttered chicken and naan and bread, and so I'm stuffed.
Nand?
Nando.
Naan and some garlic naan, which is like
some naan, yeah, and it was garlicky, and we dipped it in the sauce, and it was delicious. Now we're in the recording studio, which BTW is getting pretty tight for us as Denika's.
What are you trying to say?
As Denika's girth increases.
My girth? Yeah, I guess that's a nice way to put it. My girth and my acid reflux. So
I said maybe we shouldn't have Indian food because you have such bad heartburn. And she's like, oh, fuck it. Just make it worth it.
Yeah, because I have heartburn even when I don't eat anything delicious. So you may as well just eat something delicious and have heartburn anyway. So
yeah, so we are just waiting to see if the baby has lots of hair because Denika's been having heartburn for about 3 months now.
For like the last 6 months I've had it. It's horrible. But the bigger I get, the worse it gets because she's got no room to do anything in there, I guess. So yeah, so the joys of having children.
Yeah, I don't remember because I blocked it out.
Just put it out of your memory.
Yeah. I didn't have any children.
Yeah. What? You should rename this podcast. So, yeah, we are full and tired, which that's just me. Mom's not tired.
I'm actually not tired because I started a later work shift and now I'm like a nana of leisure and it's great. I sleep like at least 9 hours a night and I'm really grateful that I made that decision. Yeah. Even if I can't see anyone or do anything fun, at least I get to sleep.
Oh, well, you know what? We just had the time change, so daylight savings where the clock goes back an hour, which is awesome because I always feel like I literally say to myself like 5 times a day, like, what time is it? How late is it? Should Kiers go to bed? Like, and it's like 5 o'clock and I'm like, oh God. And I feel like the time goes slower during the day too. So it's like, you know, and you look over and only like 15 minutes has passed and it feels like an hour's passed.
And then when daylight saving hits the other way.
Oh God.
It's like your life just whips by.
Yeah, you know, I don't like that one.
Fun also because it's sunny out.
Yeah, and it's summer and having a good time. But I actually like it because I kind of, until the baby comes, I'm just going to hibernate now. So
that's good.
Yeah, it makes it easy.
Put the blankets over your head and away you go.
Just hibernate, yeah. So this past weekend was kind of my last event, my last hurrah until the baby comes. So we had my baby shower, which was nice because I didn't have to do anything. I didn't plan anything. I didn't know anything.
It was lit.
It was lit, yeah. My feet got really swollen. That's pretty much as lit as it got for me. It was great. It was nice to see everybody, and I'm super excited about her coming and welcoming her into the world and dealing with all the differences of a girl compared to a boy because I, as you guys know, am a boy mom. And now I'm going to be a girl mom and a boy mom. So I'm a little bit nervous because I was a fucking psycho.
As was I.
Yeah, so obviously it runs deep in the bloodline. So
I just remember my dad looking at me when Denika was about 14 and wouldn't get out of the car for 5 hours because she didn't want to come on a camping trip. And
I wanted to party with my friends.
He had a special sparkle in his eye and a little smirk on his face, like, like, I'm like, yeah, I know.
Payback's a bitch.
Payback is a bitch, and then you were one, so
yeah, exactly. So I'm hoping that maybe she just skips this generation and
yeah, me too.
Yeah, but I mean that's the worst thing because I remember even our relationship. I mean, obviously, as you guys know, we have a podcast fucking together, so obviously we like to spend time together. And my mom is my best friend, so now she's my best friend. There was a couple years there where it was like she hated me, I hated her. I mean, obviously it was always love, but I was bad and I was selfish and, that selfish adolescence that you go through. Like I said, I'm just hoping it skips this generation and then my daughter doesn't have that. But I mean, where's the fun in that, I guess? But
I can literally remember being a teenager and thinking in my head, the fuck is wrong with these people? To my parents, like, they're fucking stupid. Like, they don't understand anything. I don't know, like, are they even human beings? Like, they're
yeah.
so ugly. They're so dumb. Like, every mean thing you could think. It's like your hormones go crazy
Yeah.
and you're a self-centered cunt, basically, for several years. Like,
Oh yeah, no, and that's the thing. I remember, and it's weird because it's like a switch, when you get out of that, you're like, oh God,
yeah,
oh my
one day you
God.
asked me if you could come with me somewhere, and I looked behind me to see who you were talking to because you hated my guts for the past 3 years.
Well, that, and then, I mean, so you go through that, and then I remember when I had Kierce, and then I remember the first time there was any kind of worry that I had where that's the only kind of, you only know that worry when you have kids. But I remember calling you and being like, I'm so sorry that I did this, and that I did that I did this. And it's
Yeah.
like, because you don't know until you are a parent what it feels like for someone to be like that. Like for your kid to look and be like, I hate you, and it's like, oh my God. Like,
Yep.
so
When your baby becomes a demon.
yeah, which happens really early. You
Yep.
don't expect it.
First
They're
time
super
humans don't
cute.
get their own way, that's
Oh
when
my
it
God.
changes.
Well, and the first time they become verbal and they start to pick up on things and you watch them go from this cute little tiny baby that can't do anything to like my kid snot rocketed me in the face once. Like, and I remember throwing eggs at the grocery store and like kicking your
You hated me every second.
yeah, and like I hate you and then being so sorry 5 seconds later, but no, it's just that, the love you share with your kids and the love you share when your kids are mean. It's like, okay, I love you, but I don't like you right now.
Well,
But
and I was a very young parent and I let my kids get away with way too much stuff, but I still did not enable them to be mean and get away with stuff. Like I was actually a stalker, super stalker, cop mom, had all of Danika's conversations on the computer recorded. Like
yeah, oh
I
yeah.
lived in fear of her going astray and becoming a drug addict or becoming, something where I couldn't get her back. And so I did have that other level where I made sure that she wasn't getting up to too much, even though now as an adult she tells me some of the stuff she did and I'm like still have heart palpitations.
Like, yeah, I'm just at Fro's house and it's like you're drunk in a field, like passed out,
Yeah.
inebriated, like have no idea where you are. Three-waying from the other person's house to make it seem like you're at their house, but you're not. There were some
So,
tricks. So I'm honestly actually kind of glad that I'm raising kids in like this new era because you can just have like oh yeah, you want a cell phone for sure, here's your cell phone. It's like I'm gonna track every fucking move you make.
well, and
And like
you're also way, 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 way stricter with Kier's already than I ever was with you or your brother. I
and
believed in free range
yeah.
parenting, so
Well, and now I think I kind of laid the groundwork already, and now Kier's is pretty good.
yeah.
So, I mean, I followed through with him because that's one thing. I mean, I remember because it's a lot for you, like you were young and you had me and my brother, and you had you worked and you were trying, like trying to still live
And I
your
was
life.
fun also.
Yeah, exactly. So, but I remember like mom went to the movies one night and I threw a fucking house party with like
200
200 people
people
in
in my
it.
townhouse. When I called home, the police answered
Oh
the
no, that was
phone.
the second one.
Okay, well, I called
The
home and the
first one,
police answered the
remember you
phone.
didn't know about the first one until the next day when Alex like, "Where's my GameCube?" Because someone stole his GameCube to
Well, I
pawn
got
it or
bear sprayed
whatever.
at the second one.
Yeah, so that's, I mean, yeah.
Anywho, we shouldn't remember that or we're going to be fighting in the recording studio.
Well, speaking of, I mean, that was a pretty good turnout for me, I think, because the case that mom chose today is a pretty fucked up case because, like I said, every parent's worst nightmare is their kid going astray, like you said, right?
Yep.
So today's episode, we will be covering a kid that dealt with some adolescent behavior that was pretty rebellious and trying
Extreme. He was out
well,
of
yeah.
control.
it ended pretty extremely. So, with that, we will jump right into this episode of Murder with My Mother. And we hope you guys enjoy. This case is Mom's case today. So, hope you guys love it because you always love moms. So,
So we're going to do the case, the murder of Mary Jo and Blake Hadley by their son, Tyler Hadley. Tyler Hadley was born December the 16th, 1993. He was premature and he only weighed about 3 pounds, 10 ounces.
ooh, 10 ounces.
Oh, that Indian food's getting to me.
Yeah.
Which required him to stay in an incubator in the NICU for a month. So he was born to parents Mary Jo and Blake Hadley, and he had an older brother named Ryan. And his brother was, I think, 6 years older than him, but I'm just kind of guessing it.
Yeah. Could be older, could be younger, whatever.
He was older for sure because he was out of the house by the time this whole thing unfolded. So the family lived in kind of a weird, I mean, it's not weird, but the town of Port St Lucie in Florida, which the reason I say it's weird is because...
And that's like the pot. There's like a lot of pot there.
Yeah, so the thing
I don't know why I know that.
Is that this place, Port St Lucie, was made up, it was like a scheme kind of made up by two brothers. And it was named after the patron saint of poor eyesight.
Oh.
St. Lucie. So it was kind of like they saw that there were a bunch of senior citizens, snowbirds, whatever.
Just old people.
People like migrating to Florida to retire. And there was a bunch of swampland that was like, I think 9 miles from the sea. And so they bought it all and started making this town called Port St Lucie. And so there was
the town of people that can't see.
And I mean, like, isn't that kind of like, haha, people because it sounds kind of like a cool, cute name.
Yeah, but it's really like all these old people have bad vision.
Yeah, like they're not going to really see what we're doing.
And then I heard of Port St. Lucie, that it's before, obviously, because now a lot of places, not everywhere in the States, but more places are legalized in marijuana, but this was a place that had a lot of grow-ops.
Well, and the reason is because nothing was ever going on there. It was 40 miles north of West Palm Beach, and it was designed just to get people to come to, but no one, like, it had golf courses and seniors' homes, but pretty soon families started moving there because the houses were so cheap because there was nothing there.
Well, and they say like places with older people are like, you shortly after you see the older people coming there, younger families will start going because it's a nice place to raise your kids.
Well, and
because what happens with people that are fucking old? I mean,
well, they die.
Well, I mean, yeah, that, but I'm saying, like,
but like all it had no downtown, no place for teenagers to hang out. It had a giant arcade called the Super Play USA. And the reason that there was so many grow-ops there is because you could buy a house there for $50,000. And
just light it up.
There was nothing going on, so it's not like the cops were worried about it. It was like pretty, just like a chilled place. But once the families started moving in, the kids had nothing to do. They would just hang out, loiter.
Well, and you know about that small town.
Yeah,
so you get yourself into
that's
trouble.
why you're born when I'm 18.
You were just bored, so you decided to have a baby.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Just had to fuck because there was nothing else to do. So there was, like I said, nothing to do. The streets,
except fuck. Yeah.
The streets were all kind of weird. Like, it was like they designed the town without any forethought. So the streets would just kind of run into each other, run off. Then you'd see like big plots of forest and big plots of like swampland still.
Random.
Yeah, so nothing really to do in Port St. Lucie. So the kids were wild in Port St. Lucie.
Yeah. So Tyler was born premature. So I'm sure that his mom was, because with any kid, you're obviously protective. That's just in your nature. But when your baby's born early and you kind of, I don't know, you come into motherhood worrying about stuff all the time. You worry about your pregnancy, you worry about when they're born. If they're born early, you worry about that. And
Well,
then, so she
and
probably just was coddled the shit out of him because he
Mary
was little.
Jo was an elementary school teacher, and she was also like very soft-hearted, and her husband Blake he was basically the person that watched at the power plant, the nuclear power plant, to make sure that like nothing was bad was going on.
Exploding or
Yeah, so he was
anything.
just a watcher. And they had their jobs for like 20 and 30 years. Like
They were
they've
lifers.
been, yeah, they've just been like living this chill life, and then they give birth to this kid, Tyler, who's early and skinny and tiny, and like they basically coddled him. They said she felt guilty for the fact that he was born early.
Yeah, which I can understand.
Yeah,
I mean, mom guilt is stupid
it's a
because
thing.
it's wolf. It's a definite thing, but you have it for like no reason most of the time.
Yeah,
So imagine if
100%.
there is something and you're the one that's supposed to carry this baby to full term and da 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 and then it doesn't happen. And I can see that. Obviously, yeah, it's not her fault, but at the same time, I can see her just trying to do anything to make it like, okay, he's okay. I get that.
So everyone that knows Tyler as a child said that he was kind of a weird kid. Like he was really withdrawn and quiet, and kind of just blended into the background. Except for then he wasn't. Like he'd have these weird outbursts. Like there was a class where he just started in the middle of class mooing like a cow in the middle of
Hmm.
the class for no apparent reason.
There's always a fucking weird kid like that in school.
Yeah, so he was a weird kid. It was said that like even as a little kid, he showed a lot of promise. Like his mom probably spent a lot of time being a teacher, like showing him things. He was able to play the piano. He was, into sports, all of that, but he would always have these outbursts where he was attention seeking and saying like, I'm not good enough, nobody likes me, like
Like looking for that reassurance
yeah,
all the
very
time.
much. And
Yeah.
like getting attention for his outbursts
Little
and stuff
pussy.
like that.
No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, he was a little pussy. And so he was just one of those weird guys in school that was just like,
But everything you read says he was very close with his parents. Like
yeah,
his,
like they went on vacation together. His parents looked pretty jolly. Like they looked like they were pretty chill people.
yeah.
And the words used to describe him as a young boy were loving but withdrawn, keeping to himself.
He had really bad anxiety,
He had really
right?
bad
Yeah.
anxiety, depression, low self esteem, and interestingly, we do hear because it does happen, he also had bulimia at a young age.
Which you don't hear a lot about boys struggling with that, but it is actually really common. Like for boys to have eating disorders and body dysmorphia, because you have to think as a boy, it is, you're supposed to be strong. You're a man.
Well, and a lot of boys don't even think about shit like that. They're just
No.
like, whoa, play the video game or ride the
Yeah,
bike or
but
like,
if you have a kid that's more, kind of body image and especially being born premature, you're probably I mean, I know that obviously it doesn't really affect you too much into your adulthood, but it can. Sometimes you can like be underdeveloped
well, and
or
I think honestly, like, this is my opinion, and like I've said many times before, you're about to get it, and you didn't pay for it, so just take it as
for
it
what
comes.
it is.
But I think like a lot of moms that have premature kids too, like with the ones that have the guilt, kind of look more deeply into stuff, where a lot of us that, well, for me, I mean, I was like kind of duh, didn't realize my kid was even colorblind until he was 6 years old.
Right.
But this mom seemed to be taking her kid to like every single different doctor.
Yeah.
So like by the age of 10, he was being treated with various medications for everything from acne to depression to growth hormones
Which is crazy to me
to
because
a thyroid. They said he had a thyroid condition. Like he was probably just a fat kid. His parents were.
I think he was a skinny kid, too skinny. Like he
Uh,
was too little. He was really
yeah.
small
Well,
and like because that's when I was doing the research, he's really small. Like he was
like a
that
puny little runt.
yeah, like a little pussy again. Like, and I think that his mom felt that guilt because like, oh my God, I gave birth to you too early. You're so small, you can't
You're
grow.
the runt. You're the runt.
Yeah. But really you have to think because like even I know there's some parents that are like, you need to eat, you need to eat, you need to eat. And it's like, kids will keep, like, you know, kids are going to grow. Like, when kids get chubby, it's the other opposite end.
Paul Sheaves, my classmate, never grew.
Well, okay. Well, maybe he should have been Mary Jo's son.
Yeah, he should have been.
But even, like, with kids that are chubby, like, my nephew right now, he's
actually stretched out.
He has, but he has like almost a body dysmorphia. Like, he will wear sweaters and he will say to me, he asked me the other day how many calories was in something. And I'm like, you don't need to worry about that. Like, you don't worry about that, dude. He just turned 11. So you have to think, when you're 11, you're going to grow. And I always remember this summer coming back from like grade 10 or grade 9 going into grade 10. There was boys that were smaller than me since grade 5. And I was the tallest one because I went through puberty in like fucking the 3rd grade.
Yeah.
But I was always tall and all these boys were so little. And then they go away one summer and they come back and they're fucking 6 feet tall.
Except for they're 100 pounds still.
But that's what I mean. But at least they're going to grow. The thing is, testosterone kicks in. That's what it's meant to do. And you either are going to grow up and out, or, you know, like,
either that or you're going to put your kid on growth hormones when he's 10
which is
years
crazy
old.
to me. At 10, like, my kid gets chubby, gets a little gut. I can see his mustache get a little thicker. And then all of a sudden he's like an inch taller.
Yeah.
And that happens like every 6 months. He'll just grow and grow. My legs hurt. And I'm like, yeah, because you're growing, right? That's what kids do. Hey guys, it's Denika. I know you've heard our commercial of First Sense Dog Dry Shampoo, but now's your chance to get some for yourself and for your furry companion. Use promo code MWMM10 at checkout at www.firstsense.ca for 10% off your first sifter pack. These things are awesome. With the sifter pack, you can try all 3 scents: restorative cedarwood, purifying peppermint, and my personal favorite, Zen lavender. That way, you can say goodbye to those stinky car rides home. I promise you and your fur baby are gonna love this product. Now, back to Murder with My Mother.
So by the age of 11 to 13, he was getting quite the reputation for being a troublemaker. So he was defacing public property, writing on things with Sharpies,
If my kid did that, I'd fucking be so mad.
Yeah, he was breaking windows. He was breaking stuff in people's yards.
And his mom was the mom that was like, my kid wouldn't do that, right?
One time, one of her friends, because I imagine in a town like Port St Lucie where everyone can't see anything very clearly, I imagine like a lot of the people are locals and they're all pretty close to each other. And one of Mary Jo's friends said that she saw Tyler smoking pot, and he was 12 years old. And he was just standing in the forest with some buddies, and he was smoking weed. And Mary Jo flat out said to her, Tyler wouldn't do that. He doesn't smoke. And just like, we all know mothers like that.
Oh, bitch, you're in for a surprise.
So he was, by 15, he was taking Xanax, Percocet.
Which, honestly, he was probably prescribed Xanax, but he was probably abusing it.
Yeah, so he was taking Xanax, Percocet, oxycodone, and ecstasy.
Damn.
And DMT by the time he was 16.
Damn. I always wanted to try DMT.
Yeah, well.
I mean, I don't know. It seems like it's kind of fun. Because it's the dream drug. That's what...
I feel like it would be scary.
It only lasts for 2 minutes.
Oh, well, I would try
it. But it feels like
maybe we'll try it on the podcast. After you're
maybe we'll go to a
Soyuz
next year and do DMT instead of mushrooms.
On the float.
Yeah.
Yeah, so another thing he did was...
So he was just doing everything.
He was doing
at
really
a young
bad
age.
stuff. And
but I think that always happens with people that are, like, unhappy in themselves. You know? Like, he was obviously...
He was a little asshole, just face it.
He was a little shithead. But the thing is with... Okay, and I've talked about this probably 500 times. But with my kid, I would know. Like, you little fucker.
She had to have known. I think it's just the mom guilt, like, whatever. Like, he actually lit the fucking forest on fire.
The same one he was smoking pot in?
Yeah, he lit... That lady had, like, relevant fears because him and his friend lit a couch on fire and lit the whole forest on fire.
And, you know, McDonald triad.
Fire,
bedwetting, animal abuse.
I'm just going to assume that he
did the other two for sure.
The other two probably because Mary Jo wouldn't have told anyone anyway. She would have just covered for him.
She would have covered, exactly.
She would have just been like, I killed the cat by accident.
I cut its head off.
Yeah.
Tyler would never do that. He's too skinny.
and told now that we put him on growth hormones. Yeah, so this is how Tyler's shaping up. He's
fucking red flags for days.
Yeah, and his brother, by all accounts, was like a good
well,
student,
anything compared to that.
Like, I feel kind of bad for the brother because I think like the parents were focusing so much on Tyler that it was like the brother had already moved out of the house by this point because he was probably just like, fuck that kid.
Yeah, probably. He probably was like, I'm getting the fuck out of here.
Yeah. So, and it doesn't really, I can't really find much info on like what Blake was doing around this time, the dad.
Yeah.
So they had put...
Well, he probably was one of those husbands that just was like, all right, honey, okay, sweetheart, you know, like,
yeah,
you just...
Going to eat another donut, just make sure that Tyler...
Getting Homer Simpson-esque vibes, you know, like...
So...
Make sure Tyler doesn't set our house on fire.
Again.
Yeah.
So, Tyler was forced to go into rehab. His family took his phone away. They took his car away. They forced him to go to rehab. But the funny thing, once again, is that every time one of her friends would ask, like, oh, how's Tyler's problems going? She'd be like, oh, no, Tyler's fine. He's better than ever. And
he's on the other side of things now. Yeah. He beat that. He's great.
Yeah. Meanwhile,
I feel like she was trying to maybe tell her, like, convince herself that that's what was going on.
Yeah.
Because some people are just so far in denial that it's like, yeah, I don't know. I not my style of parenting, but I mean, whatever. Everyone to each their own, I guess.
It's a river in Egypt.
Yeah. And I know that also, I mean, okay, so Tyler Hadley was born in 1993, like you said, so he's a year younger than me. So around grade 9, I think, is when Facebook came out. I was in grade 9, so he would have been in the 8th grade. So sometimes my memories will come up of my fucking statuses, and they're so cringy that it's like, why would you even put that on the internet for people to see that?
I don't think you realize, though, when the internet first came out.
No, like,
you do realize that what you're saying is, like, obviously you don't realize it's attention seeking, and you don't realize, like, you realize your friends can see it, but you don't realize that, like,
that you're gonna see it in 10 years and be like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
But he would put stuff on there like, fuck my parents, I hate my parents, like stuff like that. Like, always just put it on, like, I want to kill my parents, like shit like that, where clearly this is before anybody over the age of 20 got on Facebook, because, you know, it's just... Also, we grew up in the time of instant messenger. Like, we were the first generation to have instant messenger. So I remember being like, you know, under my breath, like, fuck you, mom, going upstairs, and then being like, oh, my mom's such a bitch.
Meanwhile, you didn't know that I had your messenger set to record.
Exactly. But, you know, it's like, that was your place to go and, like, vent to your friends in a public place. Or, like, put your status to, like, my mom's such a bitch. Or, like, you know,
yeah. Well, Tyler was doing all of that stuff. And so, he also always talked to his friends on Facebook and other social media platforms, Instant Messenger, MSN, whatever. He would always kind of along the same lines be seeking attention by saying things like he was going to kill himself. He told people he was going to back his car into the garage and just run the carbon monoxide and kill himself.
Nice.
He said that he was going to kill his parents. He said that all the time. And he would sometimes just throw that out there, like in the middle of a random conversation with a buddy, like, yeah, I'm going to kill my parents. Or he got into a conversation,
like, running away, like,
he got into a conversation with a girlfriend one day after his mom and dad took his cell phone away.
Oh, that was the worst.
And he said, yeah, she's a cunt faux show. I might kill her. And the friend said, no, prison, jail. And he said, a heart. That was it. Like, it's like typical teenage behavior, but like too extreme to be typical teenage behavior.
I remember one time I didn't come home when I was supposed to come home, and then you snapped my cell phone in half.
I snapped several of your cell phones in
several,
half.
Yeah. But it's like,
there goes your whole lifeline.
Well, then I was grounded.
World.
Well, no, because that was only when texting was really a thing, really brief, like T9 was fucking still a thing, you know? It was a flip phone, for fuck's sakes.
Yeah.
And it didn't even have a camera on it. But I remember being grounded from the computer, and then it's like, who do you vent to? Can't even talk to anybody. Wasn't allowed to use the house phone.
Probably why the dog bit everybody. Probably vented to her. So this was in 2011, July the 16th. It was a Saturday. Tyler was fucking pissed at his parents, as per usual. And he'd been saying for about a week that he was going to throw a big, huge house party. And his friends were like, yeah, right, because they knew that Mary Jo and Blake, well, the other kids thought that they were strict because they were taking his phone and making him go to rehab and all that kind of shit.
Which, when you're a kid and your other friends going through that, it's like, well, your parents are strict. But it's like,
so mean
as
to
an
you.
adult, you're like, damn, because they're trying to help point you in the right direction, you know? Like, he's only, 17 at this time? 16?
He was 17.
Yeah.
So no one believed him that he was going to have a party. He'd never thrown a party before, and it was impossible to believe that his parents were going to let him throw a party.
Well, and you're like the coolest one for 3 days when you have a party. It's like, whoa, it's so much fun at your party. It's like, sorry, I wrecked all your shit.
Sorry, I fucking burned down your house and threw your kitchen table out the fucking window of the balcony.
Stole all your spoons.
Yeah.
Like, you know, not speaking from any kind of experience here.
So the friends kept asking him, like, is the party still on? Is the party still on? And Tyler said, I'm working on it.
And this was all on, like, a Facebook status.
And everyone thought that meant, yeah, right, like, Tyler's a fucking pussy. He's not going to have a party because he always says he's going to.
I'm going to go take some more growth hormone, Tyler.
Yeah, so he received a message from his friend Antonio Ramirez, and it said, what are you doing? I'm chilling tonight. And Tyler said, trying to have a party at my crib. Antonio said, your parents ain't home? And Tyler said, nope. Well, they're leaving soon. And
that was all pretty early in the day.
Yeah, that was at
like
12.
1 o'clock.
That was at 12 something. And then at 1:15, Tyler posted a status on his wall that said, party at my crib tonight, ... maybe. But... So everyone just thought, yeah, right, Tyler, because...
Mm-hmm. And like I said, clearly this was before adults got on
Tyler's a weird kid,
Facebook.
too, right? So,
well, yeah. They probably... And no one... honestly, when you had a party in high school, it doesn't even matter if anyone likes you. They just want a place to party.
Yeah, so...
Yeah. Better than a field.
At 8:15 p.m., he updated his status to say... Party at my house, HMU, which means hit me up.
You're good.
So that is like, fuck, the party is on. And his friends couldn't believe it. They were like, whoa, what if your parents come home? And he replied, trust me, they won't.
So the reason that he was so sure that his parents wouldn't come home, because I remember being a little bit anxious when you'd go out and I'd decide to have a party and be like, oh, my mom might come home.
Yeah.
Oh, no. And then I'd call you.
You didn't even plan it on days I was going to stay overnight somewhere. You just fucking did it when I was coming home.
Well, yeah. And then I would get worried that you were coming home. So I'd call you 500 times. Like, you don't think it's obvious when you're a kid. And like, hey, what are you up to? Okay, cool. When are you coming home again?
Yeah.
How long are you going to be home in again? What are you guys doing? Are you guys far from the house? Like, you know, which now, obviously... It's funny because there was recently a younger person that called someone my mom was with and was like, hey, when are you guys going to be home again? And it, like, I looked at my mom and was like, is that her? She's doing something bad, you know? Because you know as an adult, you're like, hey, you friggin'
And because I had you so young, I was clued in. Like...
Yeah, because it's like red flag central. Like, even Keir sometimes will be like, what are we, you know, like he'll ask something and it's like even his facial expression, you're like, what are you planning over there, you fucking
dumbass?
Yeah.
So the reason that Tyler knew, keep going, why did Tyler know his parents weren't coming
Tyler
home?
Obviously was very sure that his parents weren't coming home because you have to look too. 1 o'clock, he was like, hey, maybe there's a party at my house. 8 o'clock, he's like, there's faux show a party at my house tonight.
Hit me up.
Because Tyler viciously killed his parents around 5 p.m. that day.
Tyler took 3 ecstasy pills.
Jesus.
He went and got both of his parents' cell phones and hid them. And then he attacked his mother, Mary Jo, from behind while she was sitting at the computer in the computer room with a claw hammer.
Computer room?
Yeah. He attacked her in the back of the head with a claw hammer. And according to Tyler, later on, all she said was, why? Why? And then as she was screaming, Blake came out of the bedroom and made eye contact with Tyler for several minutes.
Several minutes? Yeah. Jesus Christ.
And then he fucking killed Blake too. Like we said earlier when we were discussing this over our buttered chicken, When the fuck he just overpowered the little puke? He was 160 pounds. Blake was for sure around 350.
Well, maybe he couldn't move too fast.
Yeah, well,
I don't know. Looked him in the eye for several minutes.
But it looks like, like they were some juicy people too. Like it would take a bit.
Well, and that's the thing. Imagine that would be the fucking scariest thing, turning around after you feel yourself get hit in the head with not even the hammer part of the hammer, the claw part of the hammer.
Yeah, we're going to post a picture of the hammer. It's brutal. Like
it's brutal, but it's like, imagine, okay, it's one thing if you looked over and there was like a robber hitting you from the behind, but imagine looking back and seeing me hitting you with a fucking hammer in the head. Knowing that you're going to die. Like,
I can't imagine. I do know.
The person you created is fucking trying to kill you. Like this, okay, like I said, it's scary.
I guess it would probably stun you though. Like
for sure, because it's scary to be walking at night. Someone comes up behind you. It's a scary stranger that's going to kill you. It's scary to have like your husband kill you. Something like, you know what I mean? Those things are all fucked up.
I think husband would be probably as close as it could get to
yes,
that,
but
not
the
even,
person
right?
you created that you've now coddled and loved and raised and done everything for is fucking hitting you from behind with a hammer, and then you walk in and see your wife being
Mary
killed.
Jo.
Yeah, like that's fucked up.
So yeah, I mean, I can't really judge until you hit me in the head.
Well, I promise I won't.
So that's why Tyler knew that his parents weren't coming home. So he spent 3 hours after he murdered both of them. He put their bodies in the master bedroom, and then he took absolutely everything that he could move and threw it all on top of them, so it looked basically like a landfill.
Like a hoarder.
Yeah, like a hoard in the bedroom. And just left their bodies closed and locked the master bedroom door, and then proceeded to say he was having a house party and started opening the door to kids.
And just letting party. Imagine how fucking high he was too by the end of it.
So it was clear that people that said that went to the party, like as soon as he answered the door in his Dickies and his black T-shirt, and he was and rolling.
His pupils were probably fucking sticking
said,
out of his fucking eyeballs.
Yeah, they said he was so high, like 3 ecstasy pills
at once. Like Jesus Christ.
I don't know because I don't do drugs, but
no, same. Never done ecstasy.
So anyway. He at first was saying, like, kids kept coming and coming and coming.
Well, that's what happens.
That's especially there because there's nothing else to do.
Well, and that's kind of the aim of the game, you know? You want to have the best party because you're already like, fuck it. Like, I'm going to, you know,
I'm going to be in trouble, but I'm
going to be in trouble, but he's not going to be in trouble.
Well, he was going to be in big trouble.
Yeah, but, I mean, you have to think, too, kids at that age are fucking invincible. They think they're invincible.
They only think like a couple minutes ahead.
Yeah, and you have to think too, you're not worried about other people getting you in trouble. All you're worried about is your parents finding out. But your parents are fucking dead. They're not going to find out anything.
So the funny thing is at the beginning of the party, it was like he didn't quite believe it yet because
he wasn't really in shock.
He wasn't letting people smoke in the house. But then he kept saying like, no one can smoke in the house. It's my family's house. And then people were going outside and like stealing mailboxes and doing bad shit. And then he realized like, oh my God, the cops are going to come if like everyone's outside smoking. Yeah. So then he's like, go ahead, smoke in the house. And then he started saying to people like, people would ask like, where are your parents? And he told one group of people, oh, they're in Orlando. Another group, they're in Georgia. He told another people. Then he started saying, this is my house. My parents don't even live here. Like he was like, I think as he was rolling, he was like fucking like,
he was peeking.
Yeah. So people were eventually like butting their cigarettes on the ground and doing coke and like doing everything
when they're at house parties. Like they like extra do bad stuff at other people's houses. It's like so disrespectful.
It's like funny. Like they think like I remember being at a house party and my friend barfed red barf on a white carpet and we thought it was the funniest fucking thing ever because it was
over the railing onto someone's parents' head because we didn't know that they came home.
Oh my God.
Remember?
No, I don't remember. I wasn't there.
Well, no, but I remember telling you about it probably like a year ago. But it happened when I was like 14 because I got the spins outside on the patio. But it's like...
So, yeah, this party was just getting like more and more and more out of control.
Well, yeah, I think it maybe was out of control before it even began because this guy fucking killed his parents with a hammer to have this party.
So then, you know, like... I heard that when people do drugs, they start talking too, like talking. So he told a couple people.
I heard that too.
He told a couple people like, I did something really bad. You guys are gonna find out. Like he started with that, like you guys will find out in a couple days
And
or
they were all like,
tomorrow.
"What'd you
And they were
do?"
like, well, they didn't really care because they're in the middle
No.
of destroying the
And they
house.
probably don't even like him. They're just at his house to party.
No one even knew him actually. So
Perfect.
they didn't even really have that many friends. So
Which you have to think was probably half his motive. Like, I'm gonna have the fucking best party. Everyone's gonna like me. I'm gonna this. And little does he know, he's not even gonna get a chance to fucking go back to school. Like,
well, even Rolling Stone, like when Rolling Stone did the piece on him, they interviewed like the cool football kid in his school and like all these cool kids that had been at the party.
oh, that's so cliche.
Yeah, totally. So he got the recognition he wanted, I guess. But there was like, he started saying, like I said, like I did something really bad.
Yeah.
And then pretty soon he told his best friend that he'd had his whole life. Can you come down the road with me? I got to talk to you. So they went for a walk and Tyler confessed, like, I killed my parents at 5:00. That's why I'm having the party.
And it's like probably, what, midnight by this time or something?
Yeah. And I think it was even later because the party went until like, I think 4 or 5 a.m.
Well, what happened was he told his friend, and his friend didn't believe. So then he was like, well, let me come in and I'll show you. Because his friend was like, shut the fuck up. No, you didn't.
Yeah.
This is a guy I think he knew since kindergarten or something.
His whole life.
So if he obviously was like, come on, you didn't kill your parents.
And he's like, did so.
Yeah, I did so. As he takes some water and friggin' his eyes probably are popping out of the back of his head.
Well, and he also took his friend back to the garage and showed him like all the bloody footprints and stuff. And then he went to show him the bedroom and the kid said like all he could see was like a big fat white leg sticking out from all this debris and like blood everywhere. And then he said, if you look around the house, you'll see signs.
Yeah.
And no one noticed, but there were signs like, remember the kid that was playing beer pong?
Yeah, which is disgusting. He was playing beer pong. These guys were playing beer pong, and the ball rolled. And you have a cup when you play beer pong to like wash your ball in case it falls on the ground. But it rolled. It like bounced into this puddle that was coming out from the door, and it was like this brown sludge puddle. Which we know is blood because the parents were just laying there bleeding out from all their fucking hammer wounds in the next door, like in the next room. And so the kids were like, ew, what is that? Like washed it off and just continued to play. And beer pong, you are fucking throwing the ping pong ball into your drinks and then drinking them. So, yeah, so,
So he also went to the bank machine before everyone showed up at the party and took out like I think $5,000 in cash. So at one point all the kids ran out of beer at the party and they were playing water pong.
Oh.
And so they sent this 21-year-old kid to the beer store to get them a bunch more beer. And after Tyler told his buddy that and showed his buddy that his parents were in the bedroom,
they took a selfie.
They took a selfie, and the kid didn't leave. He stayed for 3 more hours.
But eventually, obviously, everybody started to go home, and it was like probably 3:30 in the morning by this time. Everyone started to go home, so Tyler is just living in his fucking... You have to think, because the party ending kind of signifies like, okay, shit, I have to deal with what happened. But he just posted a new status on Facebook saying, party at my place again tomorrow. Like, he was ready
because,
to just
like,
keep the party going.
Totally.
Well, denial again. I mean, you know, obviously you're going to keep going because you don't want the party to end because now you're going to have to come to terms with you killed your parents. So his friend who he took a picture with, they took a selfie. We'll put that on the cover art for this week's episode. But you can tell that they're just like, the friend you can see kind of knows like, okay, wow, now my friend has killed his parents, so I'm probably not going to see him again. And then, actually, his friend is the one who called the police on him and told the police, like, my friend just had a party and my friend killed his parents.
And another girl called, too, and said, 911 said, what's your emergency? And she's like, well, I don't know if it's an emergency, but this kid had a party and he killed his parents. So...
if anything's a fucking emergency, it's probably that. So the police came, obviously, and I think because, okay, it's one thing to be a 15, 16, 17-year-old kid and not notice signs, visible signs of a struggle, of a murder. But the police came, and I'm pretty sure it was, you could probably smell it. Like, you could probably smell
They said that
death.
the house stunk really badly. The kids even said that when they showed up. People said that it smelled like dirty laundry, or like laundry that had been sitting in the washing machine for too
Ugh.
long.
I mean, maybe
And
their house just smelled like that.
yeah,
Some
and
people's houses just smell,
well,
but
they said that it was like the house was disgusting too. Like several picture frames were missing, dishes were smeared with mac and cheese.
and this was
Like,
before the
yeah,
party?
this was before the party. So he was too busy cleaning up like
Well, he didn't
the
clean shit.
yeah, well, he tried for 3 hours. I think basically all he did was throw shit on top of his parents.
Which that's like a, you could totally tell his age fucking through his cleaning skills.
Well,
I
and
remember when I used to throw everything in my closet and not think that you're
yeah,
gonna look.
if I think like also that maybe his house was already dirty before that. I mean,
That's
I'm
what I
not trying to
mean,
pin it
yeah.
on dead people, but maybe
No, but obviously he was probably, you have to think, it's hard to get blood out of stuff. It's hard to get rid of signs of a struggle and a murder, and especially that kind of murder, like any kind of like, there's a lot of blood when you hammer somebody, you know? I mean, I wouldn't know because I've never done
well,
that,
I'm
but
sure for sure.
stabbing or, you know,
Any kind of impact sport
yeah,
is going to cause
there's going
more.
to be, and I think he hit them each quite a few times.
Yes.
So you have to think there's blood probably all over. So he's probably now just thinking, well, fuck it. I'll just cover it up with all these other messes that I can just make. Because if my house looks messy, that's better than my house looking like that I've committed parricide and friggin' killed my parents. Like,
Patricide.
no, it's parricide. Patricide's when you
Parasite?
kill your dad.
Oh,
Matricide's when you kill your mom. And parricide's when you kill your
parasite.
parents. Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know. I guess what are you going to do?
Well, what are you
So,
gonna do? Well, so pretty much the police came and they obviously went and checked because the guy, the friend who saw the bodies, told them the bodies are in this room covered with a bunch of stuff. The police went right into the room, saw the fat white leg, like you said, of his
yeah.
dad, and put him under arrest. So no more house parties for Tyler.
Yeah, so all he said to the cops was just take me to jail. The police left Tyler shackled in the driveway and the officers entered the house and Tyler started shouting, "You can't go in there, don't go in there." So of course they saw empty beer bottles, red Solo cups everywhere,
That's how you know
pots
it
and
was a good
pans,
party.
yeah.
Red Solo cups.
Cigars, empty beer bottles on his bed, and a woman's purse. All the furniture was turned
And both
over.
of the parents' cars were still in the driveway.
Yeah.
So obviously they were like, "Where's your parents?" And they know where his parents are, and he's like, "They're out."
Yeah.
Like,
So, and they found the dog. It was locked in a closet.
well, it's better than what happened to his
Yeah, I
parents.
guess. Poor dog, though, was probably scared the whole time.
Probably. The dog probably watched the kid
Oh, he
freaking murder
probably
his
did.
owners. Like,
Yeah. Hopefully my dog would do something about it. So the officers noticed streaks of dried blood on the frame and baseboards. They forced the knob of the door to the bedroom open. And sure enough, there was some fat white legs underneath all the stuff. And the parents, it led to the parents. So yeah, his brother was called and no one could really do anything for him. His family said that he had just been at the lake, seemingly happy with his parents the week before. There's pictures of that too.
yep. But so because Tyler was 17, in Florida, they have the death penalty. But because you're 17, he couldn't be sentenced to death. So in 2014, he was sentenced to life in prison without the chance of parole, which good because this kid's a shithead. So in April 2016, his sentencing was actually overturned by an appeal judge who stated that the lower court didn't consider the correct alternative to a life sentence. But in 2018, he was resentenced to life in prison, but this time he got the chance of possibility with parole. So, which is stupid because he did this big, huge, long spiel in court like, I'm so sorry. I feel so horrible about what I did to my parents. I can't even believe I did that. Da 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 da. And a lot of the times, yes, okay, if somebody does commit something when they're like 16, 17,
Or like took 3 ecstasy pills or
yeah,
whatever.
okay, maybe. But then this guy was in jail signing autographs for people saying, Tyler Hadley, it's hammer time. And people were calling him like Hammer,
Hams,
Hamo.
Hamo, yeah.
Like, he would be like, he would brag about what he did to his parents.
He was acting just like he basically did in high school, but he was not sorry.
No.
A fucking psychopath, weirdo.
Definitely a psychopath. So yeah, he now is imprisoned at the I can't say this.
Okeechobee
Correctional Institution.
Okeechobee.
There we go. That's the one. That's the winner. So that's where he is, and his house was demolished in 2015 because, again, in a small town, like, think about it. Everybody knows what happened there. It's hammer time.
Well, the house was for sale for a while, but
and no one wanted to buy it because some guy freaking killed his parents with a hammer. Like, right? So.
And another thing is his poor brother.
His brother wrote a book, right?
Yeah, his brother did write a book about the whole thing.
Which, damn, yeah.
And his brother was just like a normal guy. He wanted the maximum sentence for Tyler because...
Well, you have to think, he had the inside... Like, I remember, like, my brother has done shit that's like, okay, you're an asshole. And, like, I'm the one that gets the most mad at him. Because it's like, hey, what the fuck are you doing? You know? Like, to be the older sibling of somebody. And I think the biggest thing he did was, like, give you attitude once. Like, literally. But, you know, it's like, even that, it's like...
Didn't pay his phone bill. That's what he got the
Oh, yeah. Like, there you go. So, yeah. But, you know what I mean? Like, there's no... For him to... He brutally murdered his parents. And he, obviously, probably, too, dealt with years and years of feeling neglected himself because his parents were putting like you said, putting all of their effort and energy into Tyler just to have him fucking bludgeon them to death with a hammer.
So he says that he's always thinking about it, like,
oh yeah, that would
all
fuck
the
you up.
time. He wrote a book called 1,000 Fireflies, Living in the Aftermath of My Parents' Murders. So that is basically just delving into his great grief and his grieving process, and that he says it was necessary for him to look at over 100 pictures of his parents' bodies in court, and like, ugh. I just can't imagine, like, knowing your whole family is gone because your brother is
a selfish little cocksucker. Like, yeah.
So that was a pretty sad case because...
Makes my house parties seem not so bad. So.
It does, yeah. Too bad you didn't show me this case when you were 17.
Well, it wouldn't have happened yet. Yeah.
Yeah, you guys are the same age. No, you're right. Not. You're right.
I had house parties at 14. I was ahead of my time.
Yes, true enough.
But yeah, so that was episode 28. Good job, Mom. Good case selection.
Thank you.
But I'm still fucking scared. I'm still scared. Being a parent is freaky, right? Because you're trying your best to lead these kids and just be the best you can be and not fuck your kids up along the way. And I mean,
it's freakier for some more than others. Like,
yeah, but I think I'm doing a pretty good job.
I think I'm out of the woods with getting killed anyway.
Yeah, well, unless Alex, I won't kill you, so that's all I can say. I don't know. I don't think he would either. He's a pretty big mama's boy, so.
So was Tyler Hadley.
Oh, God, fuck.
They said he was always hugging his mother's legs and, like, being right with his mother all the time. Yeah. No, Kierce won't kill
No, he loves me too much.
Playing his vids.
With his meth vision. Oh, God.
Okay, well, we will be back in 2 weeks. Sorry, once again, we had to cancel last week.
It was a busy week. So.
It's a busy week, and Denika's really getting up there in the pregnancy. I mean, she's having the baby on December the 22nd, so there's really not much time left to go. Like, it's just over a month now.
Yeah.
And so she's, of course, feeling a little more tired, and it's harder for her to get into the recording studio. And one day we'll post some pictures of the recording studio, and you'll understand. It's a fairly small space that we work out of. But I would like to thank all of you guys for listening and being patient with us for the extra week. And we will see you again for episode 29 in 2 more weeks.
Yes, so with that, this has been Murder with My Mother, the true crime podcast where I talk murder with my mother.
Bye, y'all.
Bye, guys.